Stop everything. Because what I'm about to reveal isn't just another Hollywood headline. This is a nightmare that has torn families apart, obliterated reputations, and left millions around the world breathless in disbelief. Katt Williams, the comedian who once had us doubled over with laughter. The fearless voice who never hesitated to shine light on Hollywood's darkest corners, is no longer the man the world thought they knew. Tonight, he stands in a freezing courtroom, shackled in iron chains, cameras exploding like lightning, fans screaming in agony as the judge's words slice through history like a blade. Katt Williams, guilty of first-degree murder. Life in prison. Yes, you heard that right. The man who built a career out of comedy and truth-telling has just been condemned to spend the rest of his life behind bars for the brutal murder of Reggie Carroll. A case the FBI insists they have been piecing together for years. But here's where the story gets darker. Because this isn't just a tale of crime. This is betrayal. This is conspiracy. This is a cover-up so vast it threatens to shake Hollywood's golden empire from the inside out. In that courtroom, witnesses crumbled into sobs. His mother collapsed to the ground before paramedics rushed her out. His daughter's cries pierced through the silence, begging her father not to go. And Katt, he whispered two words that shattered the internet in half: goodbye forever. But what no one is daring to say out loud is this: secret tapes, hidden weapons, and a midnight arrest that feels more like a carefully staged takedown than justice. Was Katt Williams truly the killer? Or was he silenced for knowing too much? This isn't scandal anymore. This is the funeral of an era. And what happens next will leave you reeling. The silence inside that courtroom was suffocating, thick enough to choke. The judge's words echoed like tombstones being carved. Cameras snapped relentlessly. Reporters leaned so far forward they nearly fell from their seats. Fans pressed their palms to the glass divider, some screaming, some weeping, some frozen in shock. Katt Williams, the man who once owned every spotlight, every stage, every microphone, now stood shackled with his head bowed as the judge's voice declared the words like a death sentence: life in prison. The atmosphere shifted. This wasn't just a legal verdict. It was the execution of hope itself. His mother's scream tore through the chamber as she collapsed into unconsciousness. His daughter's voice broke the stillness, crying out, "Papa, please don't go." And in that heart-wrenching moment, Katt looked at her through tears before whispering a phrase destined to live forever in infamy: goodbye forever. That courtroom scene wasn't just a sentencing. It was the burial of a legacy. And now, the internet is split in half with a question no one can silence. Did Katt Williams truly murder Reggie Carroll? Or are we watching the most orchestrated frame-up in Hollywood history? Because the evidence prosecutors paraded before the jury was shocking, yes, but the contradictions were even more terrifying. It began on a storm-lashed night. Just after midnight, FBI agents stormed into Katt's mansion like a military raid. Cameras rolled, helicopters circled overhead, and the man who once mocked power now stood barefoot, handcuffed, and dragged into the night like prey. Inside, agents claimed they found a charred notebook filled with coded names: politicians, A-list actors, powerful executives. Alongside it, they displayed a gun, which they alleged was used in Carroll's murder. But friends closest to Katt swear that gun wasn't his. They allege the FBI planted it, constructing the perfect story to bury the man who had been exposing Hollywood's corruption for years. And then came the supposed smoking gun. Prosecutors unveiled a grainy video, allegedly the last footage of Katt and Reggie Carroll alive together. In the clip, the two are seen arguing, voices raised. Then, the video cuts. Moments later, Carroll was dead. But digital experts now suggest the footage may have been manipulated, perhaps even a deep fake designed to trap Katt in a crime he never committed. Social media detonated. On Twitter, hashtags #GoodbyeKatt and #JusticeForKatt trended worldwide, side by side. Millions demanded answers. Because buried in this murder case was a detail so chilling, it sounded like fiction. Katt had been preparing to release a secret project he called the Red Room tapes. These tapes, insiders whisper, exposed underground parties, grotesque rituals, and crimes involving the most powerful names in politics and entertainment. And just days before Reggie Carroll's murder, Katt had warned that the tapes were ready to drop. Now he was in chains, silence for life. Coincidence or conspiracy? The court may have stamped him guilty, but the public, the fans, and even certain insiders believe this was no justice. This was a silencing. The moment the gavel struck, the courthouse erupted into chaos. Fans screamed at the judge from the gallery. Outside, protesters clashed with riot police, chanting "Free Katt" as smoke filled the air. Inside, his daughter tried to break past guards to reach her father. Katt didn't beg. He didn't protest. He didn't plead for sympathy. He simply raised his shackled wrists, stared into the cameras, and whispered words that set the internet ablaze. The truth will come out, even if I'm gone. TikTok exploded with edits of his final statement, paired with somber music and captions like, "They silenced him, but they can't silence the truth." But the drama wasn't finished. As guards escorted Katt out, a masked man lunged from the crowd. Security footage showed a flash of a blade, guards scrambling, and Katt being rushed into a black van. Within minutes, the footage leaked online, fueling more paranoia. Was the attack random? Or was someone desperate to ensure he never spoke again? The theories multiplied. Some insist Reggie Carroll's death was staged to frame Katt. Others argue Carroll was killed because he, too, was preparing to testify against the same elites Katt had been exposing. And now, with Katt locked away, the narrative feels like the perfect sacrifice. Instagram flooded with tributes. Twitter burned with rage and despair. YouTube churned out breakdowns, theories, and conspiracy videos climbing into the millions. One viral post claimed Katt's burned notebook actually contained evidence of an underground network, and the FBI destroyed it to protect the elite. Another suggested his haunting farewell wasn't only for his family, but for the world. A warning that he knew he would never make it out alive. Because here's the most terrifying part. Whispers are already leaking from inside the prison walls. Guards and inmates alike say Katt won't last a year behind bars. One anonymous officer reportedly told a journalist, "He won't survive in here." And maybe, just maybe, that's the point. The tragedy is almost too heavy to bear. From the man who once made the world laugh until it cried, to a broken figure in chains, whispering goodbye to all he loved. But the question still hangs in the air like a guillotine. Did Katt Williams truly kill Reggie Carroll? Or did Hollywood orchestrate the perfect fall? Because make no mistake, the courtroom may have closed, but the war for his truth has only begun. Outside, the streets looked like a battlefield. Protesters held signs screaming, "Free Katt," while others demanded justice for Reggie. Police in full riot gear pushed back crowds as helicopters circled like vultures. News anchors struggled for words. CNN called it the most shocking celebrity trial in modern history. TMZ blasted with the headline, "Katt Williams, from comedy king to convicted killer." Social media split down the middle, half sobbing that their idol had been framed, the other half insisting justice had been served. But then came the twist that turned tragedy into nightmare. A leaked FBI report appeared online. In it, sources claim that during Katt's arrest, agents seized multiple encrypted hard drives. Inside, they say, were files labeled Red Room. These drives allegedly contained footage of Hollywood elites in unspeakable acts, scenes too disturbing to describe. Rumors swirled that Reggie Carroll had also been preparing to leak those same files, and his murder was no coincidence. If true, the picture is clear. Katt Williams wasn't the predator. He was the prey. Yet, despite it all, the official verdict stood. The system wanted him buried alive. Cameras caught his final moments being shoved into the prison van, shackles biting into his wrists. His face hollow, his eyes burning. Not with fear, but with the look of a man who knew he had been silenced. Inside prison, reports claim Katt was immediately placed in solitary confinement for protection. But leaked inmate messages tell a darker story. One smuggled text read, "Katt ain't safe. Word is out. They want him gone before he talks." Another warned that a bounty had been placed on his head, not by fellow inmates, but by powerful figures outside those walls. Meanwhile, fans scoured old footage for clues. Past interviews resurfaced where Katt warned about Hollywood's secret rooms and blood contracts. Clips that once drew laughter now looked like confessions. Viral captions read, "He told us." Nobody listened. The heartbreak only deepened when new leaked footage emerged from the courthouse holding cell just minutes before sentencing. It showed Katt leaning toward his lawyer and whispering, "If I don't make it out, they win. But tell them I tried." That clip spread like wildfire, crossing millions of views within hours. This wasn't a scandal anymore. This was martyrdom. And then came the blow no one expected. For the first time, the Carroll family spoke. Reggie's own brother appeared on live television, voice trembling, as he declared, "Katt didn't kill my brother." He explained that Reggie had confided weeks before his death that he was being followed, that he was scared, that if something happened, it wouldn't be Katt. It would be them. His words sent shockwaves across the world. Suddenly, the question wasn't about guilt. It was about whether Hollywood had staged its most perfect sacrifice. Adding fuel, reports surfaced about the missing pages from Katt's burned diary. Allegedly, those pages contained names not just of actors and politicians, but billionaires, producers, and moguls so powerful exposing them could topple empires. Conveniently, those pages never saw the inside of a courtroom. The conspiracy deepened. Fans compared Katt's downfall to others who spoke too loudly: Michael Jackson, Prince, and countless more. The message seemed obvious: speak and be silenced. Katt, they said, was simply the newest casualty. But the nightmare didn't end there. Just 3 days after sentencing, new prison security footage leaked, and it was chilling. The video showed a masked man disguised as a guard attempting to slip into Katt's solitary cell in the dead of night. Authorities claimed he was caught in time, but to millions watching, the footage looked staged, an elaborate performance meant to look like protection, while secretly setting up the end of Katt Williams. On TikTok, creators began stitching timelines together, unraveling contradictions that no one in the courtroom dared to touch. Why did key witnesses suddenly vanish before taking the stand? Why was the supposed murder weapon discovered in Katt's home without a single fingerprint? And why did the FBI immediately lock away the infamous Red Room hard drives instead of making them public evidence? Each question pointed toward one chilling reality. This wasn't justice. This was execution. The grief of his family only twisted the knife deeper. Katt's daughter posted a gut-wrenching message online: "They stole my father, but they will never steal the truth." Her words went viral, spreading like wildfire across every platform, gathering millions of reposts within hours. Soon, celebrities began to weigh in, some carefully, some boldly. A few stood beside Katt, insisting on his innocence, but the majority remained silent, too frightened of being the next casualty. Then came the revelation that flipped the narrative upside down. A former FBI whistleblower stepped forward, claiming that Katt's arrest had little to do with Reggie Carroll's murder. Instead, it was punishment because Katt had refused to surrender the Red Room files. Files, the whistleblower said, that held enough evidence to end careers, topple governments, and shatter the entire entertainment industry. The very idea sent a shiver through the world. If true, Katt wasn't simply another fallen star. He was the key to unlocking secrets too dangerous for ordinary people to ever see. The streets exploded with fury. Protests erupted in New York, Los Angeles, Atlanta, massive crowds flooding the avenues. Murals of Katt Williams appeared overnight, painted with the words "truth teller" and "silenced." Demonstrators shouted his name like he wasn't a convict at all, but a revolutionary. Police clashed with protesters, tear gas filling the air. The chaos was undeniable. Inside prison, reports turned darker by the day. Guards whispered that Katt refused to eat. Others said he spent endless hours writing, possibly smuggling out letters filled with truths too heavy to contain. One inmate claimed Katt told him, "They can lock me up, but they can't kill what I know." Those words spread online like wildfire, transforming him into a symbol of resistance. The boundary between justice and conspiracy blurred beyond recognition. So the question burned hotter than ever. Was Katt Williams truly a murderer, or had he been sacrificed for holding the keys to Hollywood's darkest secrets? The world fractured in two, but one fact stood unshakable. The man who once made millions laugh now left them drowning in tears. His final words, "goodbye forever," no longer sounded like a family farewell. They rang like a haunting epitaph for a world that might never learn his truth. And as the world waited, one question echoed louder than any verdict. Would Katt Williams survive long enough to reveal what really happened? Or would his silence mark the final chapter in Hollywood's darkest script? The night after Katt Williams was locked away, people thought the story had ended. But what unfolded behind prison walls transformed tragedy into something more sinister, something too dark for the evening news to fully explain. Guards reported strange occurrences around his cell, unexplained power outages, cameras cutting off at random, unidentified men entering restricted areas without authorization. It was as if someone wasn't content with locking him up. They wanted him erased. Whispers slithered through the prison. Inmates said they heard screams echoing at night, though officials insisted nothing happened. Still, a shaky leaked video surfaced online, showing eerie shadows moving outside Katt's solitary block before a guard suddenly bolted in panic. The clip went viral, sparking rumors of an assassination attempt already underway. Fans began to fear the truth. Katt wasn't being punished. He was being hunted. Then came the twist that ripped the internet apart. A smuggled letter, allegedly written by Katt himself, reached his daughter. In shaky handwriting it read, "They want me gone. But if I die in here, no, it wasn't my choice. The truth is bigger than me." That letter tore through social media, igniting millions of shares and demands for answers. Celebrities who had stayed quiet finally broke their silence, some hinting that Katt's warnings about hidden rooms and secret tapes were never just jokes. They were confessions. Hollywood struck back almost instantly. Overnight, major outlets branded him unstable, a paranoid conspiracy theorist spiraling into madness. But the timing of these smear campaigns only fueled suspicion. Why were billion-dollar networks scrambling to bury the words of a man already condemned to life? What secrets were they so desperate to hide? Inside prison, the mystery grew thicker. Anonymous guards claimed Katt had been quietly moved in the dead of night to an undisclosed location. When reporters pressed, officials contradicted each other. Some insisted he was transferred for safety. Others swore he'd never left. The confusion fueled conspiracies. Was Katt still alive? Or had they already finished the job? Then, the darkest headline yet. Just before dawn, hashtags like hashtag RIPKatt began trending worldwide. A leaked report claimed Katt Williams had been found unconscious in his cell, lifeless. Officials called it suicide, saying he had simply given up. But fans refused to believe it. Within hours, videos emerged of Katt, filmed just the day before, smiling and telling fellow inmates he was ready to fight. The idea that he had suddenly ended his life felt like theater. Another chapter in a cover-up determined to silence him forever. The heartbreak was unbearable. His daughter collapsed during an Instagram live, screaming through tears that they killed my father. His mother, still shattered from the trial, fainted outside her home as reporters swarmed her doorstep. Across the country, fans gathered in candlelight vigils, painting murals across brick walls with the words "Truth never dies." But the story didn't end there, because even in death, or supposed death, Katt's shadow refused to vanish. A whistleblower released a chilling audio recording allegedly captured days before his collapse. In the tape, Katt's voice spoke, steady but broken. "They promised me freedom if I gave them the files. I said no. Now, they'll make me vanish. If you hear this, know the fight isn't over." The clip shattered the internet, convincing millions that his death wasn't suicide. It was execution. Shock turned to fury. Protesters stormed Hollywood Boulevard, accusing the industry of silencing yet another truth-teller. Outside the prison gates, thousands gathered, demanding to see Katt's body. Officials refused, claiming his remains were being processed. The secrecy only deepened suspicions that Katt wasn't dead at all, just hidden, forced into silence as part of some underground bargain. Then, another bombshell. The missing pages from his burned diary resurfaced. A hacker collective claimed they had obtained fragments of the journal. Screenshots revealed names, executives, senators, even beloved A-list actors. If genuine, these pages explained why both Hollywood and Washington would have wanted him silenced. Yet, almost as quickly as the leaks appeared, they were wiped away. Accounts deleted, servers scrubbed, files erased in real time. Someone, somewhere, was fighting harder than ever to bury the truth. The tragedy was complete, but the question screamed louder than ever. Did Katt Williams really kill Reggie Carroll? Or was his entire trial a smokescreen to destroy a man who knew too much? Was he dead, alive, or hidden away, his silence the ultimate price? The uncertainty became its own nightmare. A ghost story haunting millions who once laughed at his jokes. Everywhere, his old words resurfaced like prophecy. Clips of Katt saying, "The truth will get you killed in this business," gained millions of views. People who once laughed now wept, realizing he might have been warning them all along. His comedy wasn't just humor. It was confession. His punchlines weren't just laughs. They were warnings. Weeks passed, but one thing became undeniable. Whether alive, dead, or disappeared, Katt Williams had grown into something bigger than a comedian. Bigger than fame. He had become a symbol of resistance. A martyr carved out by an industry that devours truth-tellers and spits them out as legends. His final words, "Goodbye forever," weren't just for his family. They were a warning to the world. A haunting farewell, reminding us that his silence wasn't the end of the story. It only made the story louder. Because tonight, the real question isn't whether Katt Williams was guilty. The question is whether the world is ready to face the truth he died protecting. And maybe, just maybe, his goodbye forever wasn't goodbye at all. It was the beginning of Hollywood's darkest revelation. So we're left with the question no one can escape. Was this justice, or was this the most elaborate setup in entertainment history? Katt Williams walked into that courtroom man, but left branded a murderer, silenced for eternity. And whether you see him as guilty or framed, one fact remains. His story ripped open wounds that will never close. His mother's cries. His daughter's screams. The fans who still stand in the streets holding candles. These are not just moments. They are scars, etched into history. And when Katt whispered goodbye forever, he wasn't only saying farewell to his family. He was saying goodbye to a world that laughed when he spoke the truth and abandoned him when he needed them most. But maybe the real tragedy isn't Katt behind bars. Maybe the real tragedy is us, watching in silence as the powerful erase the voices that dare resist. If this could happen to him, a millionaire, a star, a man beloved by millions, what hope is there for the rest of us? This is bigger than comedy, bigger than celebrity. This is a warning. So I'll ask you, was Katt Williams a criminal? Or was he a casualty of an industry built on secrets and sacrifice? Drop your thoughts below, because this story is far from over. His words echo louder than ever.